Tensions in the DA have escalated into a formal internal probe after a dispute between party leader John Steenhuisen and ousted Forestry Minister Deon George. The party has issued a gag order now to prevent public criticism as it seeks to uphold ethical and accountable governance, it says. The conflict comes amid questions over Steenhuisen's spending habits, including the reported removal of his party credit card. His financial troubles were highlighted when the Cape Town Magistrates Court issued a default judgment of nearly 150,000 rand in May for unpaid personal credit card debt. Let's unpack the story further. We're joined now by political analyst at the University of the Free State, Professor Sethulego Matebesi. It's always great to have you with us on the program. And it's not a good look, is it?
Hi, good afternoon, Michelle, and good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, most definitely. I don't think it is as good for the Democratic Alliance. It's actually unheard of having a leader of a party which has projected and worked so hard to have an image of clean governance, and yet you've got a party leader who seems to battle to be able to handle his own finances. I don't think that bodes well for the Democratic Alliance and its leader himself.
And of course, it then brings into serious question, the decisions made around Deon George and his post as Forestry Minister.
Yes, most definitely. And remember, this is a party that has always have, like all other parties, you know, the combination of leadership rivalry and race-related tension. And now those who have already left the Democratic Alliance will definitely point fingers to say, yes, we have been preaching that perhaps we are on an equal footing. But it's also a party that we all know has been trying to protect its own identity. And we all know where is the support base of the Democratic Alliance, where it comes from. And but this does not definitely bode well for the party. And it will be very interesting to see how he will now project an image of a party that is in terms of and consolidate what the party have been doing in terms of municipal governance and all that. And I will not be surprised if this will later become part of a political slant from other opposition parties and even from the African National Congress during the campaigning.
Yeah, it's also difficult for a party like the Democratic Alliance, which styles itself around the ANC does A, we can do better. So this now becomes difficult when the party leader himself is embroiled in a scandal of this nature. John Steenhuisen says it's not a scandal, it's his personal finances. It has nothing to do with the Democratic Alliance.
Yes, most definitely. That is a narrative. And remember, leaders has always advanced certain narratives. And I would not be surprised if the DA comes out. And yes, it's true, but in the public, domain, people are left to their own devices. And what we see and how we respond to certain situations, that is something else. And it's all up to the public, South African public, whether they will accept that narrative. Yes, and we all understand. I mean, in reality, it has absolutely nothing to do with the Democratic Alliance. But we've seen how many other leaders of other political parties has paid the price for doing things outside of the parties, domains, but that will have serious reputational damage for their party. And it's the same for some of us who works for other private institutions, even universities and all that. Fact of the matter is what I do over a weekend outside of work will have huge significant reputations for the company that I'm working for. And the same applies for the Democratic Alliance. It will be perhaps convenient for them to say that, but fact of the matter is it does hold reputational risk for the party.
Well, sure it does, Professor, because if John Steenhuisen were the CEO of a major multinational, I mean, he is effectively the leader of the main coalition partner in the government of national unity. So I think we can make sort of the analysis around whether he was the CEO of a big company in South Africa whose finances were a mess. Surely that person isn't fit to be CEO and to manage the company's money.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why even at our banks, at entry level, they will do a background check. And I mean, there are companies based on the nature of the work that will do background checks on the basis of how you handle your finances. And I mean, it's just logic. You've got a leader of a key political party. You've got a minister, and it can be a minister coming from any political party. I don't think anyone would like to or can be proud if you're a South African. You don't necessarily even need to be part of a party, but no one will be proud when it's ministers. Every second day we start to read and hear about ministers who cannot manage their own finances, because that in itself has to do with integrity, that has to do with discipline, and that has to do with basic financial management. And if you can't do that in your own private domain, the question is, how are you going to handle the finances and have oversight role and even provide strategic direction for such a key department such as, agriculture? And those are the questions that I don't think the Democratic Alliance can shy away from.
Yeah, so the Democratic Alliance's federal executive says it will now deal with the matter internally. It's sort of trying to avoid the public mudslinging that's been happening between Steenhuisen and Deon George. How do you think this figures now, just in the political climate we're in? I want to talk to you about the ANC's National General Council in just a moment, but these are important stories as we build up to the local government elections next year.
Yes, definitely. These will be the stories that will dominate the political landscape. But I've often said, and I still say it, it all depends how the party, and in regard, the Democratic Alliance respond to the situation. And we've seen on numerous occasions how parties would want to close rank and try to, at least keep this away from the public domain, which is fine. I mean, from the public eye and all public scrutiny and all that, and handle that behind the scene. But fact of the matter is, this is a matter that the Democratic Alliance need to take up. But I think there will also be a strong push back from its leader. But that in itself may even have a bit of a psychological edge for other opposition parties. And I will not be surprised if this will, in over the next couple of months, when we are in full election campaigning mode, that this will once again become part of the election strategy, elections narrative for some political parties.
Yeah. So let's talk for a moment, if we can, Prof, about the ANC's National General Council. It's being touted as a moment for the party to reflect on a range of issues, including Cyril Ramaphosa referring to criminal elements within the ranks of the ANC, a whole range of other issues, rebuilding the party amid declining electoral support, 2024, the worst performance by the ANC since 1994. There's a lot on the table here, and it's a big ask what the ANC is hoping to come out of these NGC, with renewal again being a buzzword that we're hearing in just about every single interview.
Yeah, Michelle, this is, but yeah, you can even hear in how in my response to this. And I often say I'm a sociologist, social sciences, not so experienced in terms of finance, financial management and all those kind of stuff. But for me, that is the basic things. We've got a South African Revenue Services, which now has a bit of a strong hand on individual South Africans. And my question is, how is it still possible in South Africa where somebody then can amass millions and millions of rands, and that goes undetected? So it seems as if it's fine to talk about these things, to make pronouncements about it. And I've also seen the Secretary General coming out guns blazing around what is happening, who are the monsters, who are actually hurting the African National Congress. But the question is, when is the party going to take a strong stance, and not tomorrow, we can have these events because this will be after 3 days, there will be a media briefing and it will be over. Everybody's going back to the drawing board, back to basics, and the same thing starts all over. And it seems as if there's absolutely no consequences for those who are, or allegedly, committing all these heinous crimes of robbing South Africans of its future. So I strongly believe that the ANC as a political party has the means and the power to deal decisively with some of the challenges that we are facing. And the question is, why is that not coming forth?
Certainly. Professor Sethulego Matebesi, thanks as always for your time here on Newsfeed AM.